enjoy. Like, I really care about my ladies. I want to make sure not only that they know how to go online and click and do all the things, I want to make sure that they get over the roadblocks that sometimes they have in place that hold them back from finding love. So that's what I bring to the table. To help you find love, because I have, if you listen to any part of my story, you know I enjoy dating. So I'm looking at you like, I enjoy dating. So if anybody's dated, it was me, call me. Like, seriously, call me. Hello, and welcome to She Date Savvy Presents the Man Panel. Listen, I have some single men with me tonight to talk about living single as a man. Y'all know, as I tell you all the time, I can only tell you so much. I'm a woman. So every now and again, I get with some men who I know are good, eligible single men to talk about things that we want to hear and talk about. So do me a favor, ladies. If you have not already, be sure to tag a girlfriend. Be sure to share this broadcast, because I really want ladies to tune in and hear from the hearts and the minds of these single men that I have with me this evening. If you are joining me for the first time, let me go ahead and introduce myself to you. I am Tara Stenner. I am the owner of She Dates Savvy. I help smart professional women find love online and then teach them how to date offline as well. So again, without any further ado, I want to invite my men, my friends. I shouldn't say like my men, because you know I have one man, but I want to invite my man panel on this evening to join me, because we're celebrating National Singles Week. That's right. There's a celebration of singles. And so I have these men here tonight for me to celebrate, talk about being single, and answer some of your burning questions. So if you have some questions, drop them in the chat as well. We will get to them tonight. All righty. So we're going to bring the men on, and I have my super producer, Miss D, in the background running the camera. So let's bring those men on. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, Tara?
Good. So I have Sean and I have Jason with me tonight. Whoever wants to go first. Actually, you know what? Let me do it. Jason, you go first. Let the ladies know who you are and where you're from, and give them your age, because I'm sure they're wondering already about you guys.
Sure. So how you doing? Pleasure to meet you all. I'm Jason Wallace. I am 46. I am from Panama, but I have been raised pretty much in Brooklyn, New York, most of my life, and I've lived in other places around the world. Currently, I am a senior product marketing manager at Compass Real Estate.
Got it. All righty, Sean, you are up next.
All right, let me move my mask for a minute. I am Sean Wilburn, 46 years old. I'm born and raised here in Houston, Texas. I am an associate pastor at the Healing Room Church here in Houston, Texas, and I'm also a school teacher, English teacher, and football coach.
I love it. Thank you all for being here. All right, man. And Sean, I'm actually, because you just went, and I know people are probably like, wait, what's going on? Where is he? Is he at the hospital? Explain to the people where you are and what's going on.
Okay, so about a year ago, 2 years ago, now I'm thinking about it, after a football game, guys, of course, got me with the Gatorade. I'm thinking I had a cold. Come to find out, I actually had kidney failure. So during the time of COVID, I ended up getting on the kidney transplant list, and now I'm on dialysis as I await a transplant. So right now I'm at dialysis, and this is pretty much my story. I mean, I either had a choice to lay down and act sickly or keep living. That's what I told you.
Come on. Yeah, and I love that. And here's the thing, ladies. When Sean and I were talking, he's like, so T, I'm gonna be at dialysis. Like, I don't know if you want to do this other time. And I'm like, no, actually, I want you where you are, because when we start talking about their single journey, it's all going to make sense. So I thank you for taking time out of this life-saving moment, right, to be here with us this evening. So let's get into it. What could y'all describe y'all's dating status to me right now? What's your status?
I'll let Charles go first.
Jason.
Jason, yeah.
Jason, I'm sorry.
I mean, my dating status is, single and dating. That's where I'm at. I've going on a few dates. COVID obviously has made it a little more difficult. New York, we now have you have to be vaccinated to actually be able to go into a restaurant. I have at least one shot and show you your vaccination status. I am fully vaccinated, so not a problem. But that's it. Like, just really trying to figure out how to navigate, in these COVID streets.
Yeah. So Jason, I love what you said. You said, I am single and dating. I'm single and dating. So talk about that, because some people don't know how to be single and dating. Like, it's either or. They're either single or they in something. So talk to me about what single and dating looks like to you.
Yeah. So for me, it's to your point, like, sometimes people, they find one person, they're like, okay, this is it. Like, they jump right into the relationship, and then all of a sudden they realize, well, maybe this is not it. And then they get out the relationship, and and you were just constantly serially, end up being in string along relationships. For me, as dating is basically, how can I get to know someone, and then maybe I'm going to get to know someone else, and how can I get to the point where I do narrow it down to one person? We're like, okay, wow, we really click, we really connect, we have a bond, and now we can move on to the next level, which is being exclusively dating. So I know, like, one time my grandmother, a long time ago, she said, if you ain't married, you're single. So until you get married, right, you're single. Right. So I'm not taking it to that extreme, but you get the point.
I like that. And I think that you made an important point. There are some ladies, and even some men, let's be real, who want to immediately be linked up, like, we together. And it's like, no, we just went on a date or so. We're still just trying to get to know one another. Someone here says a serial monogamous. That's who she is. She's serial monogamous. And sometimes being a serial monogamous means, unfortunately, that you find yourself linked up really quickly. So Sean, tell me your story. What's your single status?
So I'm single and available. Being a football coach, I have very late nights, and being a dialysis patient, that kind of adds to it because that's every other day. So currently, I haven't really been dating. This summer, I was. My football season will be over in October, so I probably will get back active again. But partly, I had just gotten out of a relationship probably about 6 months ago, so I kind of sat still for a little bit and started dating again around August or so. But that's pretty much where I am.
Got it. So now you mentioned your last relationship, and I want to kind of touch on that because when you and I chatted, it was a total whoa moment for me. Okay. So just quick backstory. Sean and I did not go to the same high school. We went to opposing high schools, but we met because my school was the best one. Anyway, but we met about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even more, about 5 or 6 years ago. We were getting ready to do our class reunion. I'm not gonna say the year, but it was some years, and I was like, oh my God, how old am I really? And so just a really cool guy, right? So we've always kept in touch, and recently, Sean, I knew he was with somebody because, you could tell when somebody booed up, right, on social media. You could tell the story. I'm like, okay. And so then he sent me a note and he sent me a picture. I'm like, yo, she's beautiful. You guys look great together. And I was thinking, okay, this is the one. Like, this is going the long haul. But then, again, as social media tells the story, I knew at some point you were single again. And so the other day, you kind of filled me in on the backstory of that. So kind of talk to us about that breakup and how that happened.
Okay. So probably about a year ago, someone that I have been, I can say, on and off with for probably about 9 years. We know each other very well. We had a previous relationship. It was a very long relationship, probably the longest relationship I've been in my whole adult life. When she found out I was sick, she started checking on me. And, that turned into us getting back together. And the ultimatum was, listen, I'm not going to date you another 3-4 years. If we're going to do this, we're going to get married. And I had absolutely no problem with that. So, everything fit. Everything seemed to, be on equal status with us. And of course, ended up probably, I would say, March of this year, after the storm, the winter storm. I ended up in the hospital, which was the
Mm-hmm.
first bout of something really serious. And she hit me with, "I'm not happy," after the hospital visit,
Mm-hmm.
because at that point in time, I had a lot going on, and she felt like she was being neglected, and that, the dialysis and all the other things that I had to go through kind of took the place of me giving her attention. So, um, probably about 2 months later, just thinking real fine, I get a random Wednesday morning phone call. I typically pray with her every morning. And
Mm-hmm.
that particular morning, she didn't answer the phone. And so she called me back probably about 5 minutes after I called and hit me with the, "I love you," right?
You already know where that's going. It's
Right,
never going to be a good situation when they preface it with, I love you.
right.
That's
You
never
know, so hold on real quick.
good. Mhm. Yeah, that's never a good situation when a person calls and says, I love you. And ladies, I know that there are a lot of you online right now. For those of you who are hearing this story, I want y'all to listen because I want you to chime in. Um, and first of all, we'll preface it with this. She's not here to defend herself or say, no, 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 it wasn't like that. But I want to hear from you all because so often we come to the table with bags and stuff. We come with all our stuff. We got kids, we got the exes, we have a lot of things, sometimes financial issue, a lot of stuff. But we want someone to accept us as we are, right? And be our rider, right? The ride or die. However, there are times and situations where in a relationship, someone may have an illness, something they cannot control. And so I'm going to let him finish his story, but I really want y'all to tell me what your thoughts are on this, um, and how you would feel if something like this had been done to you. Go ahead, Sean. So she says, I love you, right? Hmm.
Okay, so she hit me with the, "This isn't working for me." Uh, you know, it's just really one of those things. I really feel like you need to concentrate on you,
Mm.
and you don't really have time for me. And so we broke up. I was supposed to propose to her. I'm fine. I was supposed to propose to her probably about 3 weeks after that.
Wow.
Uh, and that's kind of where we were. We were kind of we all she knew it was coming, so we had already started planning the wedding. All that, we were supposed to get
Oh,
married at the end of this year, and just kind of took me by surprise. I thought everything was fine, and even though she told me she wasn't happy, we were working on the things that was bothering her, which was dealing with me, kind of trying to prioritize her over this of what I'm going through. So, and in the end of the day, I can't necessarily be mad. I mean, that's a
mhm.
choice that she wanted to make, and this is a lot, you know, and it kind of just is what it is.
How did you how did you take that? How did you handle her breaking up with you at such a time?
Um, I couldn't be mad. To me, this is how I feel about love. If you say you love someone, you love them in spite of their faults.
Mm.
And so, people around me will want me to be this very vengeful, mad about it, cuss out,
Mm-mm.
type of guy. And that's not me,
That's not you.
you
Yeah.
know. So I was like, no, I mean, she has a choice to make. I'd rather she do that now than after I put a ring on her finger and we're married. So that was kind of my solace in that, is that it
Mhm.
didn't get as far as marriage to where
Right.
but
Right.
at the end of the day, I don't want to marry someone that does not necessarily want to deal with me at my worst.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you say those vows, that's what you say, for better or for
Yeah.
worse. And right now, this is worse.
Hmm. And it's almost like what's interesting to me is it's almost like she made a permanent decision on a temporary situation, you
And
know?
I
And
think
it's
I think what it was is the hospital stay, because she knew going in, you know, where I was, what I was going through. And when I ended up in the hospital for a week, I think that kind of scared her. She's younger, you know.
sure.
So I think that's what it was at the end of the day, because even with one of the conversations that we had, pardon my French, she prefaced it with, I hate to sound like an asshole, but
Again, when you say that, you already know you're about to sound like one.
right,
Period. Yeah.
right. So I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, this situation that I'm in, it's a variable. You don't know. I'm on the kidney transplant list, but you don't know when your time is coming up. And dealing with living donors is frustrating because when you're talking about medically, they want Black people to be like 10 pounds.
Yeah,
so,
right.
so
And we already know we
everybody that
come with
tried
a
to give
lot
me a
of
kidney, they
yeah.
said their BMI was too high and they need to lose 60 pounds. So you don't know when it's going to happen. So that limits me from travel. That limits me from a lot of things that she was wanting to do. And I think that's what kind of played into
Right. Her
her
saying
decision.
that, oh, you don't have time for me. Okay. So cool. Now, but you said you have gotten back out there. Now, I'm seeing some of the comments coming up. And ladies, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your comments. One of them, one of our ladies, she says being honest about must-haves and deal breakers are key, obviously. So, and again, this is one of the things where it's like, hey, here's what's happening with me. And then she also says, she says, I can't even say she was wrong.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I felt the same way.
right.
And,
Okay.
and even with us having history, because it's different than me just meeting somebody and they're saying, no, I'm good. In this case, we had been around each other, knew each other well. The love was very strong there, but it was a 9-year history that, you already know going in, and we had that conversation. Hey,
Right,
this is a
about what
lot.
it was going to be. All
Mhm.
right, so let's talk about now. We're going to kind of shift gears a little bit because if we talk about relationships, there's always the for better, and we've obviously seen the for worse, right? Like you're like, hey, this is me at my worst right now. That's just what it is. So let's shift a little bit. Again, I always have these conversations with men, with men because I want women to hear from them. So Jason, I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna throw it to you. What is it that you wish women knew about men? Like, what are some of those things that? Because I think that we just bless our hearts. We are so spoiled. We are so spoiled, and we make so much just about us and our feelings and what we believe. And oh my God, you did this, and I felt this way. But y'all have feelings too. Y'all are people. So talk to me about some of the things that you wish that we knew about men. And
That's a
even
great
you in
question.
particular.
Well, that's a great question. I think some of the things, we are definitely emotional creatures. We show it differently than most people than women, right? And so I do think that a lot of times we put the burden on ourselves. We put a heavy burden on ourselves because we know that we have to be more. We have to be a provider. We have to be a protector. We have to be all these things, and it's fine. But I also don't think that sometimes women understand what that all entails, right? So from an emotional perspective, like for me, I'm the de facto head of my house, of my family. And so I take on a lot of the burdens that, my grandfather took on when he was here, like, so it, financially, emotionally, all those things that it all entails. And so that, when we're looking for an outlet, when we're looking to just have like a moment of peace, because we have these things that are weighing on us, like, that's why we go play video games. That's why we go to go hang out with the boys. That's why we go to the bar. That's why we go play sports. It's not to get away from you. It's not because we don't want to be with our woman or we don't want to deal with you. It's that there's a great outlet. For me, like running has been probably one of the greatest outlets for me, in that I can get out there on, I'm all by myself. I got music in sometimes, but most times. But I started thinking about, here are the problems I have at work. Here are some of the challenges I need to overcome. Here's the way I can think about things. Here, how can I be strategic? But then also like, wow, like, if I'm dealing with someone, here's how she felt. I need to figure that out. I need to understand why, let's plan it. Let me think about a date that we can plan. Let me think about, this trip would be cool, or a birthday's coming up, something, whatever it is, right? But it gives me that time alone to actually, decompress and get into a really good headspace. And when I'm done running, like, I feel like I've pointed out what I want to do going forward, able to come up with action items. Sometimes, like, as soon as I get done running, I just like get on my phone and start, writing things out. And it's been great. And I've been running consistently for the past 3-4 years. And it's really made a difference for me mentally, and I think that's one of the things, like just our mental health is important. And a lot of times we're not really, we're boys. We're taught to be strong and be tough and, don't cry and,
which is BS. That's total BS. It's like men deserve a place and a space to cry in a safe space, right? A safe space, because I think that sometimes men are not as emotionally open to us ladies because they know sometimes that you're going to view them differently. If he comes home and he's had a really crazy day and he's like, you know what, I'm going to cry it out. Like, you're going to judge him differently instead of being, not every woman, but there are a lot of women who'll be like, oh girl, and then he was crying, instead of saying like, oh my God, I am here for you. You better get that ish out, like get it out so that you're not holding that in. And even talking about, when you were talking about those releases and things that you do, I think another thing, and you didn't mention it, but you were very close to it, is even when y'all go quiet, like when you just go off and be quiet. I've learned that as a married lady, because again, we make everything about us, and it's like, oh, why is he quiet? What's going on? But it's like,
he doesn't love me anymore. He doesn't care for me. It's like, nah, like I'm thinking about, or it's like, what are you thinking about? It's like, man, I missed that. What if? I missed that Marvel show. Man, maybe I can catch it later. It's sometimes when it's again, like it's not always. It's not
as big as we make it. Yeah, we make it all about us. And now wait, with your running, you got a whole marathon coming up. Like you really have taken this mental escape of your running even further. Like what's up with that? So long story short, when I started running, so I used to play professional basketball, athlete, in shape, all that. And my uncle, he passed away. My Uncle Carlos, he actually built out the first computer system for New York Road Runners. New York Road Runners is the New York organization that does most of the races, and they also do the New York Marathon. So he told me, he was like, Jason, what are you going to do when you get out of shape? Like when you stop playing ball, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know, I'll do something. But he's like, running is what you should do. Running is good for you. And I was like, all right, whatever. But I started slow. I started really small. But then I saw my friends running, right? I saw my friends doing half marathons and getting medals. And I'm like, well, I can do that too. Yeah, like, I can do that. I'm bad like that.
Right. Like we all the same age, and I actually played professional sports. So I jumped right in, went to the Brooklyn Marathon, and I died out there. Like I was walking, my feet hurt, everything. And it was crazy. And even though I tried to train a little bit, couldn't do it. Yeah. So I got back into it. Started to get better and better at it. I run like 6 half marathons. And so this year, actually 2019, I qualified for the 2020 marathon, which was the 50th one. Because I was like, this is the big one. Got canceled. So now we're doing it for 2021. So in this whole process, I started a nonprofit with my friend Tiffany, On Humanity. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to run. A lot of runners run for organizations. They run for a charity that they support. So I said, I'm definitely going to run for On Humanity. But then my friend Heidi, who she runs the Girl Scout Troop 6000, which is the Girl Scout troop here in New York that helps the girls who live in the shelters. They form a troop for them. So it gives these girls a little semblance of normalcy that they, just taking them on trips and having mentors and field days and stuff like that. So I said, so Heidi asked, I said, sure, I'll run for you. So I'm running for 2 organizations.
And I put the information on the screen, and we'll drop that again at the end. But I think that is, first of all, that's commendable. And one of the things, we have a question that actually came up, because it sounds like, again, you found your outlet for your release. One of our ladies is asking, how can a lady, meaning your lady, when you're in something, and this is for both of you, how can your lady support you during those times? I think for us, we've already kind of heard, you got to have the right lady. That's going to be my first thing, because we already see Sean going through a scenario and she ain't there. She couldn't take it for whatever reason, whether it scared her, whether it was too much pressure. But I'll start with you, Sean, because that's just a great question. When you're dating someone and you are going through something, let the ladies know how they can support you? Like, what does that support look like? Is it sitting quiet on the couch next to you, just being quiet? Again, I've learned my place in my space. Sometimes I just got to sit and be quiet, but what does that look like for you, Sean? And then I'll ask you next, Jason.
So for me, to really be honest with you, it's really simple. My love language is physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just need to be, especially in this situation, because it's a lot mentally.
Yeah.
It's a lot physically. I just need to be held.
Yeah.
Don't ask me a whole bunch of questions. I saw the young lady put that. I don't need the questions. I don't need. Right. I'm a man. I'm gonna figure all of that out.
Right.
And I'm a tough man at that. So I'm gonna get through it. But what I need right now is just to be able to lay in your chest and just exhale.
Amen. Yeah. That's one of my husband's things. He's like, to lay on my lap, just like that's it. Like, and again, I had to learn to not try to talk, because it's like we want to. And I know what that means. Like, if he comes to my, I know what the heck that means. It means just be quiet, and let him have his moment. What about you, Jason?
I'm very similar. Let's just cuddle, like we get together. Watching the show, watching TV, watching the movie, whatever it is, but like that comfortable silence, it's helpful. And that touch, just being able to feel someone physically, it's a good thing. Eventually, I'll share, and I also think that setting up really good date nights, really good opportunities where you do share, where you do say, hey, like, this is what's going on with me, this is how I feel about it. And you ask a question like, well, what do you think? I think finding the right partner who can balance you out in that, you're able to ask for their advice, but also you're able to give your own advice. And you're comfortable in doing that. You're also comfortable in keeping the confidence, right? So, and not taking what we say and throwing it back in each other's faces, right? So, in a heat of the moment, it's like, well, that's why your boss says you can't do this, and it's like, nah, right, that's not going to help. Like, that's going to make things worse. So, there's a trust factor there.
You hit the nail on the head. I was just about to I was just about to say, with that comes a certain amount of vulnerability and trust. Yeah. Because when I am ready to unpack it, I have to trust that when I say it, it's done. It's not even about me needing to have you fix it, right? Because I think that's one of the things that men have learned from women, that we don't always need y'all to fix it. We just want y'all to hear us and let us vent it out. So these are really great examples. So the questions are coming in. I'm gonna be going back and forth between the ones I've got on the other side. So we got a question from Vanessa. And this is really from a woman's perspective when it comes to dating. And she says simply, do you prefer the lady makes the first move? In other words, if a lady has interest in you, so say like tonight, if somebody saw y'all here and they're like, Sean, I can care for you. I want to take care of you. I want to be your woman. Or Jason, I want to be there holding the sign as you come down the marathon route. Would you prefer women reach out? Well, okay, let me stop, because I'm talking about reach out. That means like I'm trying to fix y'all up. That's not what I'm talking about. But just in a normal scenario where someone was interested, what's your take and stance on a woman making the first move, or as they say, shooting her shot?
I'll go first. I'll go first. So I give a great example. So a couple weeks ago, there was a meme that says, September is, take a man out on a date month. Mm-hmm. So I changed it to say, take Jason out on a date. I posted on my IG story, and a young lady came in. She said, where you want to go? And I was like, let's go to Peaches. And she's like, done. And so, it was so simple. I love it. Yeah. And I mean, we haven't, we weren't like dating, or we weren't like even friends. Like we became, we met through, through mutual friends. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up following each other. So that's how we were connected. But she just, she shot a shot. And so, all right, cool. I mean, I'm open for it. Like, I appreciate it. Like, I know we see all the time, we see the memes all the time where a woman's, she's sitting there silent, and then it's like, oh, well, he didn't hear me. Peace.
But you didn't say anything, right?
Like, how are you supposed to know? Like, just say something. Yeah. I mean, we shoot, and if it's a no, then it's a no. Like, that's other sides. Like, you gotta also, your ego might take a hit, but the shots you don't shoot, you miss.
You miss 100% of the
100%
time.
of them. Right.
100. What about you, Sean?
So I'm the same way. I mean, it doesn't matter either way when it comes to that. If she shoots a shot and we got that chemistry, it's cool. I think a lot of times, if I can sound shallow just for a hot second, if it's who we don't want to shoot the shot, just like with y'all, that's when it becomes problematic.
Right. Okay? Now, so let's stay on that. How do you let that girl who shoots her shot and you're like, no, point your Cupid arrow in a different direction? Do you let her down gently, or is there an ignore? Like, how does that look?
I'm a people person. So for me,
which can get you in trouble too, because people read the wrong signals.
It kind of can. So for me, what ends up happening is I'll engage conversation. And I will let them down easy if I'm not interested. But I feel like I've never met a stranger.
Okay.
So typically for me, I don't mind having acquaintances and friends. People that I meet, I believe we meet each other for a reason. That's just my philosophy. So it doesn't always have to be that you're going to be my lady. Sometimes we can just be cool.
What about, and this is a cute question from Tarsha. Tarsha says, how do you guys feel about PDA? Public displays of affection.
I mean, as long as as we not, punching on the side of the line at the restaurant.
Why are you so foolish? Wait a minute. I've not heard that word. Oh my God. What? Seriously. Oh my God. You're so Northside. I'm not even saying what he's sandwiching. I've not heard that since I was a little girl.
Hey man, I mean, it is what it is. I'm an energy person, so if we have the right energy and that just happens to happen, cool. But I mean, as long as it's appropriate, we don't want to be inappropriate in public.
Right. What about you, Jason?
I agree. Like, if we got the energy, like we're there, we're on that level. Like, you're caressing her back, touching the thigh, like stuff like that. Obviously,
y'all for real public displays. Oh, yeah, that's a real affection.
Yeah, but you get to that point, right? But also you want to get that signal from her to let us know that it's okay, right? And that she does accept that. That's what she wants. So so there's other conversation, or we figure that out. But sure, like we grown, like.
We grown. Oh yeah, that's the tagline that's gonna get you in trouble. The we grown. Whenever someone says we grown, you're in trouble. Just FYI, ladies. That's a big one there. What makes a woman a keeper? Like what's that thing or those things that make you say, yeah, that's the one? And I know both of you are not married, so obviously you're like, well, look, but those things. There are some things, even if there are things that you are both looking for that make you say, that's how I'm gonna know. Like, what are those things?
So for me, and I'll even use my ex as an example. When we met 9 years ago, two things. Number one, she was raised by her grandmother, so she had a very, Southern Belle-ish type of demeanor, which perfectly fits my gentleman, qualities. So it was a good match, and I saw that. I saw the things that we could kind of balance each other. She's very nurturing. I'm very fatherly. Just kind of really matched. On top of that, like I said, I am a what word do I want to use? I am an empath, so to speak. You can say it that way. So energy means a lot to me. I speak energy. So that's going to be the first thing that's going to get my attention is if our energy matches. Then after that, I kind of start looking at her ways and kind of how she carries herself, and that's what I begin to see is if I'm going to even take it any further. What I run into being a pastor, I'll say this, is a lot of times women, sometimes especially in church, are attracted to the pastor because they see, I guess you could say, power. And so in that, you have women that will fall in love with the pastor, but not like the man, if that makes sense.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So wait a minute. Hold on. So So wait, she likes the potential of first lady status,
Right.
but not necessarily like everything that it's going to take to be in a relationship with Sean, the man
Right.
behind the pulpit.
Right. Because what happens when the
That's
anointing
interesting.
lifts off of the pastor, he's a man.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to understand both. Not that I live a dual life, but it's when God is using me, that can look attractive. I've been engaged before, and that was the problem in that relationship, is that she was 6 years older than me at the time. I was in my mid-20s. You know, at that time, I looked very wise when God is using me, but when the anointing lifted, I was a 25-year-old man.
Uh-huh.
And so, at the end of the day, you have to be able to understand you got to deal with both, not just one. She be in love on Wednesday and Sunday, but couldn't stand me throughout the week.
That's a
So, I mean,
challenge.
that's just, you have to understand that kind of comes with the territory. So
Wow.
the person that's mature enough to handle that lets me know that she's a keeper.
Got it. Jason, what makes a
Yeah.
girl a keeper in your eyes? Like, what's keeper status?
Yeah, so I think for me, keeper status really revolves around how she deals with her family, right? So, what's that relationship? How do her and mom get along? Her dad, her brothers and sisters, like what does that look like? Her kids, how are her kids being, interact with them? Because again, we're at the age where most times you're gonna meet women with a blended family, so it's but I also think like to Sean's point, like how does she carry herself? How does she move? Like how does she but then also how does she look at me? Right. So if how does she give herself and to make ways to make our relationship better? Like is she actively seeking out, hey, let's do this, let's do that? Is she being thoughtful? Is she being considerate, kind? So those are the things I look for. And it interestingly enough, it does stand out. Like sometimes I equate it to like we go to the mall and you go shopping and you just see that one piece of clothing that you're like, yo, that's it. Like wow. And it just calls to you. You're like, yo, I got to get that coat, or man, I got to get that shirt, I got to get that dress, or I got to get those shoes. And so that's you just feel it, you just know. And so that was it, and hopefully in that feeling, it's confirmed because now you're conversing and you're going out on dates and you're getting to know that person, and now that confirmation is like, yes, like I made the right choice. Obviously we hear and we haven't really made the right choices, right?
Right.
But
you still know because you
Yeah.
learn from those experiences, and it helps you get to where you are to know what you know right now. One of the things that was really interesting when you and I chatted, Jason, you talked about being emotionally unavailable and knowing it, like being in a place where you're like, yo, I'm not available for a real deal relationship. And I thought that was so boss. Like, I thought that was so badass, excuse my language, because oftentimes I hear the flip side where it's like, oh my God, this man knew he wasn't ready and he did this and he did that. But here we are with a single man who's like, look, I have a lot of things going on. For those of you who are just joining us, I am Tara with She Dates Savvy. This is the man panel. I've got Jason, I've got Sean. They are both here tonight to talk to us about men, dating, relationships, love, things that women need to know, things that, make women keepers and all of that. So one of the things that Jason said at the beginning, if you're just joining us, he talked about being the patriarch of his family. He's got some things on his plate. And so for him, when it comes down to like really being able to fully commit and do all those things in a relationship, he's just got some other priorities in place. And Jason, talk about how that shows up with where you are, where you're like, yo, I know right now, relationship wise, I'm not there. And then how do women, first of all, do they hear it? Because we hear what we want to hear and we make up our own stories. How does that come across when you have that conversation with women?
Yeah, so I got out of my last relationship 2018, right? And it ended and it ended where I didn't want to end, but basically, there were some things that we needed to both work on as people, right? And so, with that, as we moved into some 2019, my grandmother, she was at the time 94 years old. I was living in Chicago, and prior to that, I was living in Arizona, and she kept saying like, "Hey, I want you to come back. I need you to come back. I need somebody here with me. I don't like being alone." And so I said, "All right, I'll come back to New York." So came back, and she needed me to be like that person that could, just be there for her. But within that, I had my aunt, my mom, I had my daughter. I had so many different things, pulling at me that I had to make sure, like, okay, the household's straight. Beyond that, I got a teenager in high school. You know how that goes. I have, my mom, she's upset because she sees her mom deteriorating and she's going through it. My aunt, who's really, was my partner in trying to take care of my grandmother, make sure she got a care. And then you got a stubborn grandmother who's like, "No, I don't want to go to the doctor." "Yes, you need to go to the doctor." "No, I don't want to go." And so, it was a lot of that. And 2020, with COVID coming, it really kind of magnified it, right? So I wanted to make sure I didn't bring it back to her because, everything we've seen is like, it's a horrible death. So you can imagine like 90 plus, 94 years old. You don't want them to go through that. You don't want them to get sick and, and die that way. So it was very stressful in how I was just moving and like, I got to make sure if I do go outside, I'm isolating. And so we come back even in this apartment, like I'm on one side, she's on the other side. I'm separating myself completely. So it got to be mentally draining and emotionally draining because, you start to see the signs of slippage. You start to see the movements. You start to see those things. And it's, you're trying to catch it, right? Because you're like, hey, like, you need to do this. We wanted her to go down to my mom's and live and go spend some time in Florida. We were about to put her on a plane and then like COVID hit really bad. And she don't like flying anyway, but she was like, definitely not going to fly. Okay. Her birthday's tomorrow, September 24th.
Oh, happy birthday, Grandma.
So she turned 95, we were able to come back. People came up, able to celebrate with her. And that was great. And at the end of the year, finally convinced her, hey, go down to Florida. Again, like, I will go on the Amtrak, we'll get a whole car and a whole nine. And then once she agreed, and then she passed away like the next day. And
wow, Jason, I'm so sorry. I'm talking about happy birthday, Grandma. And
Grandma it is. It's a celebration.
I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know we're going there. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No, it's definitely it's a celebration. It's fine. Like she lived a great life.
She lived to be 95.
Mm-hmm. And so with her passing, and then now dealing with the repercussions of that and family and everything, and then grieving, it was tough. But I personally turned the corner, around June, where I was like, okay, like I feel better. And so, from that perspective, professionally, everything kind of shifted. And so I found myself, I have time. Like I have capacity. I'm no longer emotionally unavailable. I have that capacity where I can try and seek out and, want to be and spend some time. And also, again, we've been apart from each other so long, like that connection is necessary. It's needed to, so you can actually feel like, you're a whole human being. So it was tough. When I say in not in dating before, or even, saying to women before, like, look, like, here's everything that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was about to ask.
Here's what I have on my plate.
Were you sharing your plate and your load? And did they then make the decision, or were they like, oh no, but I see a little tiny wedge of space where I can kind of get in. Just let me in.
I mean, here's like, I'll give you an example, right? So she liked to have tea at 11 o'clock at night, every night, right? Mm-hmm. So tea and bread. So I had to be home to make her tea and her bread for her by 11 o'clock or around that time. So, hey, if I'm out with someone, hey, I got to get back. I got to go back home. Why you got to go home? Well, I got to make the tea and bread for my grandmother. Like, why? Like, can't she not have it for this one
like,
night?
no,
And
grandma gonna get her tea
no,
and
this
bread.
right. Like this is her thing. Like this is what she wants. And so there's some frustration there. Like, well,
wow,
you can't. Oh, so you can't spend the night? Like, unfortunately, no, because that's the time when she actually really wants and needs me. Like middle of the night. You know, if she fell, there's a couple times she fell. There's a couple times there were some funny times that we had. And I'm not gonna put her out there because she's gonna come back and haunt me. But you know, middle of the night, that's the time when she needed me, and that's the time when I had to make sure I was here for her. So, you know, definitely was some frustrations on part of
that's so interesting. I think we always think that men are the ones who are so inflexible with us and our things, and here we are hearing this man who says grandma needs her tea at this time and this time, and I'm not going to not give that to her. And so I wonder, and ladies, as you all are listening, because I see you all are here, how would you respond and react if because again, okay, so Jason had a hard day, he's home, y'all cuddling, and then he's like, oops, it's 10:30, I gotta get home to get grandma her bread and her tea. Is that okay, boo, I'm gonna roll with you, we can, I'll hang? Or are you going to have your face all screwed up like, oh my God, I can't believe you're leaving? Because again, like I said, we want everyone to work with us, right? We want a lot of people to work with us in our situations and our scenarios. And here are men who are saying, hey, I had life happen to me. Right smack dab in the middle of everything. And so we'll see. I'll see if some ladies are bold enough to comment on what they would say and do in a situation like that. I'm going to now, because like I told you, we had one of our ladies, Miss Living Sassy on IG. She sent me a slew of questions, and I'm going to try to get as many of them in as I can with you. And I think what I'll do, instead of doing both of you answering them, we'll do a ping pong, right? So I'll ask one of you one question, and then I'll ask the other. Ooh. Tasia said, it's sexy to see a man taking care of his family. Okay, come through with the taking care of your family. Sharia says, Sean is right about the anointing. It's also about seeing the man who submits himself to God. Absolutely. Because again, there are parts that we think are cute, like, oh, I want a man who, loves the Lord. But then when you really see it in action, what you really gonna do, right? So I think that's really interesting. So I'm gonna get into Living Sassy's questions. One of her questions we already answered, which was, how do you feel about women initiating the approach and interest? And both of these guys, someone else asked it here, was Vanessa. Both of these guys said, shoot your shot, sis. This is a really good one. What are your thoughts on femininity in women? Like, do y'all think that women are sometimes too aggressive? Like, what does aggression look like? I see Jason. Come on, Jason, you up first. Jason, like, that's my question. Okay, go for it.
I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, so
yeah,
and I'm Caribbean, so we get the women are aggressive or quote unquote aggressive, like, come here, son, like, whatever, it is obviously jokes, but like, the femininity is great. Like, and I think even for men, like, we also need to show our femininity. Like, we can't be, we're not, yes. we're forced to be like all this, hyper masculine. Like, I mean, like, look, I'm 6'8", 260. I'm a big dude.
No, you ain't tell nobody that. Wait, hold on. Stop now, Jason. What?
I'm a dude.
Wait. Because that's the whole debate, the height thing, right? We didn't even. Y'all heard him? He said he's 6'8". Okay, go ahead. He did say he played professional basketball, but he didn't tell us his height.
But talking about like us as men and what we're supposed to do and everything, but that soft side, that feminine side, it's there, and we need to embrace it, because then how do we relate? Like, how do we also understand where you're coming from? There's a lot of things that even my grandmother, like, she would do things and she would say things and I totally didn't get it, and now I do, even as she passed. Like, it's like wow. But for women, we want that mix. Because there's times when you're gonna be aggressive. Like, yeah, like, we love it because like show us that you care. Like, show us that you want us. But then there's times like, you want to be cuddled, you want to be doted on, and we love that too because that's what we here for.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Sean, I'm going to ask this one to you. And the question is, do you prefer online dating versus organic or random meetings in public? Like, what's your stance? And I see Jason over there. He's smiling, but this is Sean's question. I might let you interject at some point. Miss D, you can leave it like this because I want to hear from both the boys. You can leave it like this for a minute. Okay, Sean.
So I really think it's the same either way. I mean, because you got to do your due diligence. You got to meet the person. And if it's chemistry there, continue to investigate, whether it's online or whether it's in person. So I don't really think it's much of a difference. I think now technology has opened up or broadened the dating pool. I think that's all that's happened.
Right. Right. And y'all know how I feel about online dating. I mean, that's how I met my good husband. So I'm all about the swiping, the clicking, the messaging, and all of that stuff. Jason, you start smiling. I'm going to let you get in on this question just a little bit. Let's go.
I prefer organic. I ain't gonna say I've been catfished, but I will say that, when the picture is 10 years, 15 years prior to when you meet the person, it's not a good feeling. It's like, come on, like this doesn't match up. What's going on?
Okay.
So I gave up on online dating like years ago. Like it just, it didn't make any. It didn't make any sense for me. But being able to meet people organically, people that you meet through friends, through gatherings. Like I'd rather do that. It feels better. It feels like, because then they see you see them. Like if that chemistry is there, like you're gonna pursue.
You get it instantly. So Jason, this is a bonus question because you were already answering the online one. And this is a great question that she asked. She says, "What attracts you first when you see a woman?"
What attracts me first? I mean, I don't know. Like it's.
Because I think for everybody, it's something different, right?
Yeah, like we could be totally shallow about it and say, "Yo, she looked good. She looked good." Like it's how how she carries herself, her energy. Like you feel it. You can it radiates. So you see that. Beautiful woman. She holds herself. Yeah, that's it. Like again, you go to the mall, you're walking through, and you see that coat. You're like,
see that thing. Yeah,
that's it. That's it.
Because that's how I shop. I'm that shopper who's like, I see it, I'm just like, that's coming home with me. Like that's that thing. And then you go over and you're like, really, an $800 pair of shoes? Of course, I picked the most expensive pair of shoes in the store, but I get you. When you see it, you feel it. Sharia made a comment. I didn't get to say this, but yes, sometimes men catfish too. Look, I'm online a whole lot with my ladies, and I see some pictures and I'm like, bruh, they don't even make pictures like that no more. Like you see the little spots and stuff in the corner, it's an old picture. It's not even a digital one. So yes, men definitely do. Sean, well, no, because again, for time purposes, I don't want to keep going back and forth. I will ask this. This is going to be for both of you. How honest are you about your dating goals if the woman is certain that she wants to have a long-term relationship? So how honest are you? Like if you meet someone, you vibing, y'all cool, but she's like, look, I'm gonna let you know now, I'm dating with purpose. I'm dating to marry my husband. And that may or may not be your thoughts. How are you with being open about that?
I mean, for me, I'm no longer a spring chicken. So I mean, everything is up front. I don't play games with it. I'm as honest as I can possibly be. If I'm not interested, I'm very honest. If I'm interested, I'll let you know I'm interested. I'll give you an example. I actually met somebody probably about right around the time I started going through this part, because I had a different type of dialysis that I was going, and I ended up on this after the surgery that I ended up having to have. So probably had broken up with my ex probably by 3 weeks. We met. I was like, look, I'm not ready for a relationship, but I am interested. Okay. Let's just get to know each other and be friends. And kind of was upfront about it, about how I felt about it. Now she ended up going and dating somebody else, and that was cool. But I mean, at the end of the day, I was very upfront about where I'm at.
Got it. Okay. And that's fair, right? Because obviously she wanted to be in a relationship. What about you, Jason? Especially with where you were in this last year and a half, like where are you now when it comes to a relationship? And one thing we haven't talked about with you was your thoughts on marriage. Like, are you marriage minded?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely marriage minded. And I am dating to marry. Like, I'm dating to, find something serious. Like, of course, you start out slow and you start to figure it out. But yeah, like, in the conversations I've had, like, there's definitely been women who are like, and I'm just out here having fun, or I don't want anything serious, and that's cool. And then there's women who are like, yeah, like I'm dating for a purpose. And so, yeah, I am too. I don't want to. I'm not a spring chicken either. I want somebody to be next to me, when I get older.
Right. And I what I appreciate about this conversation is I believe that women, hopefully, ladies, you could drop it in the chat. Hopefully you are hearing that they just like us, right? Like they really want the same stuff that we want. Like it is not as elaborate as we make them out to be. And here's the thing, let me be very clear. I was very particular about the men that I talked to tonight and the ones that I invite on future segments. So I wanted you all to hear from the hearts of men who are like straight up legit, again, come with great recommendations or come with references because I personally know them. I wanted y'all to hear from those guys because honestly, at the end of the day, that's who I want you pursuing. I don't want you pursuing, these jacklegs out here who breaking hearts and running through women and doing all of that stuff. At the end of the day, I wanted you to hear from men who are just as sincere about love, dating, and relationships as most of you are. Another question, and this one is really, 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 really interesting. The question is, yes, look, Tasia says somebody to make you bread and tea in your golden years. At the end of the day, like literally, that's what it boils down to, right? That person who's going to be your rider, be your person. This is interesting. How soon is too soon to discuss financial literacy and goals? We didn't talk about money. We talk about how that stacks up in a relationship. But what are you all's thoughts on that?
I think once you get to a place to where you're serious, that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. As a pastor, I tell you, two things break up marriages: sex and money. so,
yeah.
I mean, that's something you really do need to talk about and figure out, the person's habits. Are they congruent with yours, or is it something that you need to kind of work on? So yeah, I think it's one of those things. Once you get serious, that's really a conversation that needs to be had. And it doesn't need to be mechanical; just can be a casual conversation, just getting to know the person and seeing how their mind works when it comes to that type of thing.
What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. You can start to tell the type of person, how that person moves with their money in those conversations. For me, like, and then, once you get to a point where it's like, okay, well, we're moving along, what do you think? Hey, like, should we move? Are we going to move in together? Are you going to come live here? Am I going to live there? Like, what's that situation? How much does that cost? What does it look like? Is this a long distance thing? Is this local? You feel there's indicators all the way around, right? So like, where do you like to vacation? Like, what is some of the places you like to go out to eat? What is some of the things that you buy for yourself? Like, even like, okay, what's your job? Like, I mean, you can tell where they are from a financial perspective, but also when you're looking at those other indicators, like how they take care of the kids, take care of the family, you can tell if that person is frivolous with their money or if they they take care of themselves, they take care of their nest egg. So
what would be that turn off for you all? Like what's that deal breaker where you're like, nah, okay, she cute, she nice, she feminine, but no, she's a mess with the money. Like or I guess I kind of gave it away. What would be that thing that makes you say like, I can't?
You talking financially or just in
general? Financially.
I don't necessarily have a turn off with that.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of from the school of thought, I watched a man be a husband and a father for 37 years of my life, but he was a husband and a father for 70. And so I kind of had a chance to see what a provider and a protector looks like. So that really doesn't bother me. Just is if she's open for conversation, that's where I'm cool. If she's not, that's probably going to be the turn.
Got it. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I would say if she's just mismanaging things, like my background, I have an MBA, I have taught financial literacy myself. So, it's like if you tell me I have a problem, how can I solve it? And I'm like, well, here's 2 or 3 ways you can do it. And you're like, I don't care, like, it's money, it's whatever. That's probably gonna be a red flag for me because as we get older, the ability to earn decreases, and so how much how are you divested? Are you invested? Are you people talk about multiple streams of income. Not everyone's built that way, but do you have a 401k? Do you have a pension? Are you what are you doing? Are you helping your kids? Do you have a 529 for your kids to go to college?
Jason come up with the real questions. Yeah.
Life. Do you have life insurance? Are you paying? Those are the things. Again, like those are the questions that those things you want to know because, at the end of the day, like when we get older, we want to make sure you want to live comfortably. You don't want to have to be continually working at 80 years old, because you didn't save. So yeah, those are for me. Those are what if her mindset is not on tomorrow,
those things, then, I like it. We have a quick question in the audience, and Tarsha wants to know, what are your thoughts about cooking for or with your lady? That could be sexy.
Let me say this. First and foremost, you probably don't want nothing I cook. I came from a house where my mama didn't cook. We went out to eat all the time.
Okay.
So I'm not a cook. I cook to survive, but I probably wouldn't feed it to you. I mean, I've done it before, where my 2 best dishes might be chili and spaghetti.
Okay.
Outside of that,
you can survive on that.
Right.
Jason, what about you?
So I got a plate of salmon, broccoli, green beans, and potatoes sitting waiting for me because I do cook.
Okay.
I cook well. I've been doing a lot of air fryer because it's hot, it's easy, and it's actually really good. And then as I'm training for marathon, I've shifted my diet to be more fish and vegetables, right? And then it's like some chicken, but yeah, like that's a cheat code. Like come over for dinner. Like you're gonna fall in love. You might
He said that's a cheat code. She gonna fall in love when she eat that food.
Wait. He can cook dinner and then breakfast. Like, come on, like that's.
That means she got to bring her spend a night bag if you cooking dinner and breakfast.
Well, we got T-shirts. It could be spontaneous. You might not be thinking about it.
Listen,
you might just decide to stay, and it's like, hey, here's a T-shirt for you. Spare toothbrush.
Oh my God. I love it. I have loved this chat. Before we go, we're gonna get out of here. And I know the ladies are still dropping questions in the feed. But how do you want to button this up when you think about your idea, your I guess just where we are with the state of dating and relationships? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, are you hopeful still that your person is out there? Have you, kind of given up the idea that, oh, my tea and bread person is there, or how do you really feel about relationships for you in the future?
I'm very open. My theory is this: love is risk and reward. Little risk, little reward. Big risk, big reward. No risk, no reward. So move your feelings out the way and just jump out there. That's kind of where I'm at.
I love that. And Sean, are you still on the list for the donor? You need a donor still?
I am. I'm on the local kidney transplant list. Unfortunately, I don't have my information with me.
Don't worry about it. Text it to me. When I repost this, I can go back in and put it in there. And this is real talk, y'all, because guess what? Somebody may have a kidney form. So as we're here and we're talking about this, I absolutely want to be able to share that information. So just text it to me when you have a chance. And then when I repost this over the next couple of days, I'll be able to go in and change the caption and have that information in there. Jason, what about you? What are your thoughts on love? Love coming your way?
Well, you know, I'm a hopeless romantic. So my favorite movie is Love Jones. One of my favorite movies is one of my favorite books is Love in a Time of Cholera, where, you know, the guy, he literally fell in love with his girl as a teenager, and it took until like he was in his 70s before they could get together. So, you know, it's you know, she's out there, you know, she's out there. Like, I'm gonna keep looking, and I'm hopeful. So.
Bonus question for both of you, because I know there are ladies who are watching this and they go like, well, why are you single? Right? Because we always get that question. So I'm gonna throw that question. Jason, why are you single?
Why am I single?
Stacks up. Yeah. Why are you single?
I'm picky. I'm be honest. Man. I can't just be like, hey, everybody. Nah, you know, I'm gonna choose. I don't date everyone that I've met, and you know, there's women who I've met we've become really good friends, and that's where it is. But again, like I said, like if you know, there's women that I have dated where I thought it would go further and it didn't. You know, and then there's women that I've dated that, you know, we were off and on for a few years and that didn't pan out. So I think right now, like I said before, you know, coming out of the winter of my grandmother passing, of dealing with the grief, there was no dating. There was no like real serious. There was nothing that I couldn't give anything beyond a cursory, you know, glance. And so now, you know, on the other side of that, you know, it's been I'm in a better space. I'm in a better, you know, mindset, and you know, my heart is open. And so, you know, if the right person comes along, then she'll get all the love.
Love it, love it, love it. Sean, what about you?
So
why are you single?
I will say in general, it's my timing has always been bad. So typically when I would meet people, either they're just coming out of a relationship or I'm just coming out of a relationship. So, you know, I end up either being banished to the friend zone or vice versa, the same with them. Even in that, with my situation recently, I'm open now, but I made sure I went to therapy after that situation to make sure that I was okay and I wasn't trying to make anybody pay for what I went through.
Wow, that's so huge. You guys keep dropping stuff. I'm trying to get out of here, but you keep dropping stuff. You just talked about therapy. That's so huge. That is so huge. And I think that one of the things that shows up in so many relationships, especially when we talk about men, because Jason, you said it earlier, like men have been taught that they're supposed to be strong and they're not supposed to show their emotions and all of those things. Both of you all, you know, have had those type of upbringing, right? Like you would have that where you've seen that strong male character. And so I love that you just talked about therapy and talking it out to someone, because I think that saves so much heartache in relationships. Like when people come as whole individuals, like when you've worked on your own ish, and so you show up as your whole self and I show up as my whole self, and then we have something fantastic together. I really, 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 really love that. I love that. And ladies, I hope that you all not only have enjoyed this conversation, but have taken on a different perspective about men and dating, because I know sometimes it's so easy to get jaded, right? Like from the fake pictures that they send us online to, you know, the men who are trying to play games and wanting to do the back and forth and not necessarily be sincere. I hope that tonight's conversation, as we celebrate Singles Week, I truly hope that this has inspired you, right? I told you I brought two solid dudes on. My girl Tiff is in the chat with us right now. I just saw her pop up again.
Hey, Tiff.
What's up,
Yes,
Tiff?
these men were vetted. Again, but Sean was my booking because I told you he was already on my list. But Jason was all you, Tiff. And so these men were absolutely handpicked to come and inspire y'all. Like I wanted them to come and inspire you all. We've had some laughs, we had some serious chats, but this was phenomenal. Like I thank you all for your honesty, for your transparency. Let the ladies know what the both of you have going on. Jason, we'll put it up on the screen. Jason is running a marathon. You can donate. You can, the link will be there. We dropped it in the chat as well.
Yeah, and so we have, oh, sorry. So what I'm doing is I'm running for Honor Humanity, which is Tiffany and I's nonprofit. We support communities that are underserved around the country.
Yep.
We've done a lot. And I'm also running for the Girl Scout Troop 6000, which supports girls who are in the New York City homeless shelters. So you can donate. So you go to the site, you're going to see a video, you're going to see me, you're going to see why I'm running, but also you can buy a T-shirt. The proceeds are going to be split between the two orgs. You can donate directly to Honor Humanity, or you can donate directly to the Girl Scouts, and you'll see like there's an update. I think we're at like $1,400 and about 23 shirts at this point. People are buying shirts. And we have women's size, so we have the V-necks for women, we have the crew necks for the guys, multiple colors. It's a great shirt. I've been wearing it. I was gonna wear it tonight, but I was like, I didn't want to overdo it. But as we get close to the marathon, I'm gonna keep updating the site. So all the information about running, where I'm at my bib, where I will be, all that stuff. It's for two great causes. And I did a podcast with Tiffany and with Heidi, and we talked about their stories, and that was again amazing. Like I knew why I was running, but when you hear their stories about why these women who were homeless, who were the Girl Scouts were mentors for them, and so they were able to come and give back. And Tiff and I, we never really talked about stuff that we've done as much as we've done. So it was great to actually be able to verbalize all the things that we've done over time. So
I love it.
Yeah, so that's what I got going on right now.
I love it. We've dropped the links into the chat, and it'll be when I repost it. I'll also make sure that they are on the actual caption. And Sean, once you get your information, same for you. Sean, let them know your football team that you are coaching.
Okay.
Shout out to school.
I'm an 8th grade football coach at Crockett Middle School in Fort Bend ISD. If you're familiar with that area, we feed Bush High School. Also, as I said earlier, I'm a pastor.
Yep.
Associate pastor at the Healing Room Church. It's in the Galleria area. If you don't want to come face to face, we actually do our Facebook Live. It's amazing. Every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. You can feel free to follow us at the Healing Room, or you can follow me. You can hear me cut up or see me cut up every day because I didn't get a chance to make as many jokes as I normally make, but I kind of cut up on social media a little bit because my whole thing is even in the midst of this, and why I even volunteered to come tonight and let you see me on a dialysis machine is what the Holy Spirit spoke to me probably about a year ago, is I want you to live past this. Wow. And when he said that to me, my mind automatically just went to surviving through it. And that's not what he meant. He meant thrive past it. And so what you'll see with me, even though I'm going through all of this stuff, and it's a lot, is I love to laugh. Because to me, that's showing how I'm thriving.
I love
so if you follow me, know that I'm a nut. Don't let it offend you. I really am a man of God. God really does love me and know me. But I love to laugh.
He really does. There are times if you're on Instagram and you ever see me tagging him where I'm like, oh Lord, I saw this on my friend Sean's page because he throws stuff out there and I'm like, really? And then I'm like, but yes, I'm gonna share it with the ladies. So again, this was a fantastic conversation. Thank you both for bringing your energy, your input, your transparency to this conversation. I am absolutely overjoyed and grateful that you both joined me here this evening. And I know that the ladies who joined us tonight got something, as well as all the ladies who will watch this in future replays. So thank you again. Ladies, as always, you know, I'm going to always bring you good conversations with men, sometimes people from the hot topics and shows and things like that. But my greatest desire is to help you have a better dating journey. And so if that means hearing from someone else who's on this journey as well and giving you a different perspective, that is what I am here for. Again, thank you for joining me. If you are in the Houston area and you want to see me again, your girl will be on Fox 26 tomorrow in the 8 a.m. hour, giving some online dating tips and information. So be sure to tune in and tell a friend or 10. All righty, y'all. Thank you for joining me. Good night.